It was late. The kind of late when the city grows quiet, but your thoughts become deafening. Can sat in the dim corner of his hotel room, lit only by the screen of his phone. His fingers hovered above the keyboard, trembling slightly. He knew what he wanted to say. He also knew that she would never read it. The silence in the room was thick. Outside, the moonlight danced through the sheer curtains, casting shadows on the wall. His suitcase, still half-packed, lay open beside the bed. He had arrived in Rome just that morning, yet it already felt like he had been running for days. Running from himself. From her. Demet. He whispered her name into the still air like a prayer, or maybe a punishment. It had been months since their last real conversation, and yet tonight, something inside him was breaking open. He didn't know if it was the wine, the loneliness, or the memories crashing into him all at once. But he couldn't hold it in anymore. So, he started typing. Demet. I know you probably won't even see this. Maybe you've changed your number. Maybe you blocked me again. But I had to write. I had to tell you this, even if only for myself. He stopped. Erased the last line. Then retyped it. Every word felt like reopening a wound that had never truly healed. He stared at her name on the screen, it hadn't changed. It was still saved as Demet Redheart. The last time he saw her, it was raining. That memory was always the sharpest. It was Istanbul, 3 months ago. A film event. He hadn't expected her to be there. He hadn't even wanted to attend. But their paths had crossed, just like in the old days, accidentally, beautifully, and painfully. She looked stunning that night, dressed in a deep emerald gown, her hair flowing like waves he used to lose his hands in. But her eyes, they were distant. Careful. When their gazes met across the crowd, it was like time folded in on itself. He smiled, small, hopeful. She didn't smile back. Instead, she turned and walked away. That moment shattered him more than any fight they had ever had. More than the last voicemail she left. More than the messages left on scene 4 days. Because in that one look, he saw what he feared most, she had moved on. He hadn't. Back in the hotel room, Can set his phone down and pressed his hands to his face. His eyes burned, but he refused to cry. He had done that enough already, in private, in silence, in rooms just like this one, in cities that never felt like home unless she was there. He thought of calling her. He wouldn't. He couldn't. He picked up the phone again. I saw you that night at the gala. I told myself I wouldn't look. That I was over it. Over you. But the truth is, I'm not. I don't know if I ever will be. He paused, thumb hovering over the send button. He wouldn't send it. He never did. The drafts folder in his phone was full of unsent messages to her. Thoughts he couldn't voice, apologies he couldn't say aloud, memories he wished he could relive. He got up, walked to the window, and opened it slightly. The air was cool, sharp. Somewhere below, the city still breathed. He imagined her walking the streets of Istanbul, maybe laughing, maybe holding someone else's hand. The thought twisted something deep inside him. How had they gone from everything to nothing? Was it his fault? Part of him knew it was. He had been so consumed by work, by ambition, by his own fears. He pushed her away without even realizing it. And when she finally left, he acted surprised, as if love could survive being treated like an afterthought. She had once told him, "If I ever leave, it won't be because I stopped loving you. It'll be because you forgot how to love me." He never forgot those words. They echoed now, louder than ever. He picked up his phone again. Typed. I don't know if you'll ever read this. But I need you to know. Not a day goes by that I don't think of you. Sometimes I see you in strangers. Sometimes I hear your laugh when there's only silence. I wrote this because I couldn't keep it in anymore. He saved the message. Didn't send it. Closed his eyes. And for the first time in weeks, he let the tears fall. He cried without a sound. Because sometimes the loudest cries are the silent ones. And that night, Can cried for everything they were. And everything they could have been. The morning after was never easy. Can woke up with his phone still clutched in his hand, the message unsent, his face marked by silent tears that had dried sometime during the night. The light filtering through the curtains was soft, but it felt harsh to his tired eyes. He sat up slowly, his chest heavy, not from sleep, but from everything he had buried. He scrolled through his messages. The one to Demet was still there. Unsent. Still raw. He stared at it for a moment, then locked the screen and tossed the phone onto the bed. A part of him had hoped, irrationally, that there would be something from her. A missed call. A single word. Anything. But nothing came. Of course, it didn't. Why would it? She was gone. Later that day, he had to attend an interview for his latest film. The press room was buzzing. Cameras flashed, journalists lined up. He smiled, answered questions, joked even, the way everyone expected him to. The way he used to, back when his heart wasn't splintered. But behind every smile was a memory. Behind every polite answer was a silent scream. And when someone casually asked about love, any special someone in your life, Can? He simply smiled and gave the practiced reply, right now, I'm married to my work. He heard himself say it, and hated it. Because it used to be her. He used to belong to her. Later that evening, after the event, he went for a walk. Rome was beautiful, even in the dark. The streets echoed with laughter, the clinking of wine glasses, music from somewhere in the distance. Life went on. But Can felt like a ghost moving through it all, half there, half missing. He passed by a couple sitting on the steps of a fountain. The girl had her head on the guy's shoulder, and he was gently playing with her fingers. That small gesture broke something inside him. Because he had done that with Demet. On quiet nights. In hidden corners of the world where they could just be themselves. Those moments felt like a lifetime ago. He sat on a bench nearby and took out his phone again. He opened her Instagram. She had posted something. A photo from a beach. Wind in her hair. Barefoot in the sand. Laughing. Free. He stared at it for what felt like forever. She looked happy. She looked beautiful. She looked healed. He wasn't. He read the caption. It was a quote. Sometimes, letting go is the bravest thing you can do. His heart sank. Was that about him? Had she truly let go? His fingers hovered over the like button. Then stopped. What was the point? Liking it wouldn't bring her back. It wouldn't undo the nights he didn't call, the messages he never sent, the apologies he thought of too late. He closed the app. But he couldn't close the ache. That night, back at the hotel, he did something he hadn't done in months. He opened the old folder on his laptop, the one he avoided. Photos. Videos. Voice notes. Him and Demet. Laughing in a kitchen. Lying on a couch. Her singing off-key while he tried to sleep. Her voice telling him to stop working and just live. Her sleepy I love you-s whispered into his ear at 3 a.m. Memories. He played one of the videos. It was from their trip to Cappadocia. Hot air balloons in the background, Demet in his arms, hair messy, eyes full of light. She was teasing him about how bad he looked in the morning sun. You look like a confused lion, she laughed. And you look like a dream, he had replied. He remembered that moment like it was yesterday. He remembered everything. And suddenly, he began typing again. Do you remember Cappadocia? That morning? I do. I remember everything. I remember how you held my hand under the table at dinner. How you kissed me when no one was looking. How you made me believe in something real for the first time in my life. He paused. I ruined it. I ruined us. And I live with that every single day. He didn't cry this time. This time, the pain was quiet. Heavy. Still. He closed the laptop. Stared at the ceiling. Wondered what she was doing in that exact moment. Maybe she was with friends. Maybe she was asleep. Maybe she was in someone else's arms. That thought hurt most of all. He reached for his phone again. Opened the message he had written the night before. Reread it. It still felt true. But this time, he typed something more. I don't expect an answer. I don't even expect you to read this. But I needed to say it. Because silence is louder than words. And mine has become unbearable. And then, in a breath he didn't recognize, he pressed send. The screen blinked. The message disappeared. Delivered. He stared at the word, delivered. Not read. Not replied. Just, delivered. He placed the phone on the nightstand, turned off the lights, and lay in the darkness. And for the first time since she left, he stopped wondering what she would say. Because deep down, he already knew. The message was gone. Sent. The silence after was immediate. And deafening. Ken lay in bed, heart pounding. He waited. For a sign. For anything. But she didn't reply. Morning turned into night. Still nothing. She hadn't even opened it. Or maybe she had. And simply chose to say nothing. That night, he walked the streets of Rome again. Endlessly. Pointlessly. On his last day, he sat in a quiet cafe. Wrote in a notebook they once shared. I don't know what hurts more. That you didn't answer, or that I always knew you wouldn't. I kept telling myself you'd come back. But now I see, I was the one who stayed frozen. You kept moving. That night, back in Istanbul, he returned to an apartment that felt hollow. Her presence still lived in the shadows. But she didn't. His phone buzzed. A notification. Demet. She had posted a story. A blurry photo of rain on a window. The city lights behind it. Some stories deserve a quiet ending. That was her reply. Not a word. But a silence that said everything. Weeks passed. He worked. He smiled. But he wasn't the same. One night, in another hotel room, in another city, he opened that same message again. He added one last line. Even in silence, I loved you loudest. Then he closed his eyes. And let go.